Hi guys, it's Ray. I know I've been over this before, but I think I went over it maybe like in the middle of another video. I don't think I've ever done a paper trimmer vinyl cutter specific video. So I'm going to run through them all again and update the video if I didn't have one previously or whatever. I own 4 Fiskars paper trimmers. 4. And not a single one of them is my absolute favorite. They're all rotary trimmers. I don't care for a trimmer that has the little tiny flat slide with a little tiny blade in it. I do own a Cricut one. I also have, I think, 2 cutter bee trimmers, and I have an off-brand rotary trimmer that I think I picked up at Walmart. So yeah, I have like 7, maybe 8 paper trimmers in my house right now, but you will always see me using my Fiskars trimmers. I have this one, which doesn't have a slide arm to make it measure bigger than what's marked. But this has my preferred style of track. Actually, that's a lie. It really doesn't. Yes, it does. Okay. But I like the track system on the flat trimmers better than the bypass trimmers. So this one only measures up to 8 inches. So you will rarely see me use this one anymore. I actually won this one like, oh God, probably 16 years ago at a scrapbook retreat for a page challenge or something. So that is this one. This I'll use if I'm cutting like a bunch of pictures or cards or something small. And then my next one, and this is actually my favorite, but this one needs to get replaced. I've changed the blade, I've changed the cutting pad, but it still chews things up. It's just, she's old. I've had this one for... I may have had this one before I had this one or shortly after I got this one. So she's just very worn out. And I think this one's maybe like $29 or $35. I can't remember. But I don't have one like this linked anywhere. I don't even know if they still make that style. But I do believe I have this one linked to Amazon down below and the other 2 linked. Sometimes you can find them in a craft store, sometimes you can't. But this one does have a fold-out arm. And this is where one of the first flaws in this one comes from. I found over the years that this top piece of the, and I have this marked for things that I like repetitively cut. But it has this place where your paper is supposed to line up, but it doesn't necessarily line up straight on this. So if you more tilt up to line up here, I find I don't get quite an even cut anymore. So I do try to line up on the lines. But I like this one because where this flips up, it's got the separate guard, but your cut line is exactly on the guard, so you can see exactly where your paper or your vinyl or whatever is going to cut. It's flat on here. So Fiskars, this, like Fiskars is going to watch my video, right? But this is a preferred setup, so you know exactly where you're going to cut. And this will cut or measure up to, I think it's like 15 inches. Yeah, 15.5 inches. So this is a good, relatively inexpensive alternative. Like I said, it is a rotary cutter. So you flip this up and your blade is inside there. And they do sell replacement blades. This one's had numerous blades over the years. And I do believe they have like a wavy edge blade and other blades you can get for this. And there was a scoring blade. So if you didn't have like an actual scoring mat and you were making cards or something, you could swap that out for that. My next one is this one. This one has a nice big arm. This one's tight. I feel like I get a better straight edge on this one. But this one is also flawed. This is what you call a bypass trimmer. It doesn't have anything under the cutter on this side. Let me fold this in before I smack myself in the face with it. And this one cuts up to about 14.5 inches. That means it cuts like on the side of your material. This blade is slightly bigger. I haven't changed these blades yet, and I don't actually have any replacements for it yet. But I believe this one and the next one are the same size, which is bigger than the previous one. However, and it's hard to show on here, and this is the same problem with the next one. It's got to be all the way down to open it. It's got a little notch here. And this one was only notched at the top, not the bottom, so the blade has to be at the bottom to open. But you open it up, you put your paper in or whatever. Now, I would like it to cut exactly at the edge of this metal. Or, it cuts exactly at the edge of the metal. The blade runs along the metal. However, the guide, the plastic guide, is inset from the metal a little bit. So you can't line up perfectly to trim like a white edge off using this plastic. Like I said, same problem with the next one. These cut beautifully. They cut way more layers of paper than the other two at a time. So if you're cutting in bulk, it's great. And if you're cutting something that's an exact measurement that you know, it's great. And like I said, this one is much stiffer and it locks into place better. So I do get a straighter edge with this one. But if you're trying to trim white off of something, these ones are not perfect. So that is that one, my middle guide. When I looked at it, I thought it was going to be a combination of these two. Like, I was really, really hoping. However, it is not. It is slightly closer, but so this one, like I said, much bigger. It does have the full fold-out pad, which is nice for measuring. This makes measuring a little bit easier because you can line up in the squares, top and bottom, not just at the top. I do find that it doesn't necessarily line up flat up here again. And I really thought when I got this one that the plastic guide was going to sit flush on the metal, and it will if you like nudge it over, but unless you have a third hand to hold it in place, that's not really a great solution. So it leaves a skinnier edge. I don't know if you can see that. It's kind of hard on camera. But it leaves a skinnier edge than the other one. So this is the one you'll see me use the most just because it gives me a little less. And I'm less likely to overestimate on this because I need to bring it just slightly past that guide. Like if this would stay lined up on the metal, it would be absolutely perfect. The construction of this one is fantastic. So this is pretty much my go-to at this point. This is one you're going to see me using the most. And like I said, I do believe I have it linked in Amazon down below, but I do love my Fiskars cutters. I have not tried to take this one apart yet, ever to change the blade. The guide does lock down. They all have some kind of lock on them, I think. I could be wrong, but the other nicer feature of this one, other than the big cutting mat, is if the carriage is at the top or the bottom middle open, so you can cut back and forth instead of always having to move the blade carriage down. So if you're looking to invest in something sturdier, I would go with this one. If you're looking for something mid-range, this one. This one's also more portable if you're going to travel with it. But if you're somebody that doesn't do a ton of cutting, this one will get the job done. But there are some flaws to this one as well. So it kind of depends on what your budget is and what you're looking to spend and how good you are at guessing and eyeballing. You guys will see me all the time have to trim a tiny another little piece of white off. If it's something like sublimation prints where you're actually measuring on your marks, this is perfect because you don't have to worry about what's happening over here. But if I'm trying to eyeball it to cut around something, that's when I run into issues. But I do really like this one overall. Like I said, I wish this plastic piece was slightly more that way. So those are all my paper trimmers in a nutshell. Yeah, I do have a ton. But overall, I'm happy. I get the job done one way or another. So, and since I'm getting ready to cut a ton of vinyl, I figured I would run through these with you guys real quick. So that's it. If you have any more questions, feel free to ask. Like I said, I would go into the decision of what cutter you want, budget minded. But I highly, highly recommend a rotary trimmer. My sister is dead set against rotary trimmers. She absolutely loves her little blade ones. Good for her. I feel like the blades wear out every 5 minutes and I don't get as clean a cut. I feel like it's more likely to snag on certain kinds of paper. So just my experience overall. And I'm going to see if I can find the Cricut one. I don't even know where it is. So the only reason I even own this one is because I left my house to go to a scrapbook retreat and didn't bring a paper cutter with me. So I stopped at a Walmart on the way and luckily they had one in stock. Otherwise I would have had the one from the stationery department. Walmart usually has one in the stationery department, or they used to. It's actually why I have the off-brand one from Walmart, is because I did the same thing one time. Left my house without one and had to stop along the way and buy one because it's a pain in the butt at a retreat to constantly have to pass somebody's paper trimmers back and forth. But this is the Cricut one. It's got the little fold-out arm. I feel like this is like the Fiskars one, though. It doesn't always necessarily stay straight and in line. And can you see that little tiny blade right there that pops out? That's all you're cutting with on these. I don't even know if I can get it out of the track here to show you better without cutting my hand. Oop. That's it. I'm not a fan of this. I absolutely hate this thing. I think I'm supposed to push this in from the bottom of the track, but whatever. And can you see the cut line between the plastic where it's like dirty here? This is actually the gap in the plastic. That cut line is the center. So if you're not measuring and you're looking at either side of the line when you drop it, you're going to cut off. So I absolutely hate this. I don't recommend this trimmer at all. I mean, it's fine for if you're cutting down a sheet of vinyl or something, but to me, this style is absolute junk. So that is it. That is my paper trimmers in a nutshell. Like I said, any questions, ask me. I do think I have the 3 Fiskars ones linked down below. I have at least 2 of them linked. I will try and double check the links They're like permalinks in my descriptions because I get asked about paper trimmers all the time. So that is it, and I will see you next time.